Hey guys, good morning. John here from incomemesh.com, and I wanted to go ahead and do a quick live video here because I always like unboxing things. Like, you watch the videos for people unboxing their new computers, their new phones, and testing it out. And I want to do a little unboxing video of the brand new features behind Divi. Now, Divi has just released a blog post where they talk about their new Divi transform controls. Let me show you what that is here. Go where you can see both of us. So here is the blog post where they release and they kind of talk about the different transforms that you can do with any type of module on your page. And when I first saw this announcement, they talked about it a while back and they gave kind of a first impression or a first look at it. I was like, okay, that's kind of fluffy. I don't see that really being of business value, but it's kind of a cool thing. I was really more looking for their theme builder to come out and working on some of those things I thought was a given that they needed to do instead of visual effects like this. But as I watched the video of him kind of showing what you could do with it, it's some pretty cool stuff. So I personally, selfishly wanted to make this video so I could play with it and see how this new tool worked. And I wanted to give you guys the benefit of, if you haven't purchased Divi yet, if you've never thought about purchasing Divi, if you're more of that design-centered person where you want to have really pretty looking images that can kind of dance on the screen like that, in this video I'm going to show you me figuring out how to use it with you guys coming along as well. And by the end of it, let's see if we can create something like this. I think this is going to be my goal of what I want to create for this video, and let's see if we can do it. All right, so full design freedom, a lot of different interesting things. I mean, it's really great because when you're picking page builders, it seems like there's a different page builder for every type of personality. If you're all about just the data and the analytics and you want to be able to optimize conversions, Thrive Architect is probably the page builder for you. If you want to kind of have like a little bit of everything and just have full design control of your website, Elementor right now I think has the market for their theme builder. Now, if you're just a full design person and you don't really want all the design controls, but what you have is absolutely beautiful, Divi might be trying to fill that niche here with features like this. They also have a sale going on right now for 20% off, and 20% off everything, it looks like, for renewals or lifetime purchases, lifetime licenses. So go ahead and check that out as well if you're interested. Personally, I am a lifetime membership holder, and my wife and I, we built what I think is a very nice business on the Divi platform, and we're very grateful for that. If you guys want to see what my wife has done and why I think we're able to show this to you, is this entire website, which is bringing in a full-time income. This is my wife's website. This is built on Divi, and I think it's a pretty well-done website. She's actually doing some cool new design features with her blog posts, so I'm pretty impressed with what she's doing there. All right, let's waste no more time. I have a demo Divi website pulled up. This is one that I'm helping my sister with and getting her kind of up and running. But until she's ready to roll with it, let's go ahead and have some fun with it, shall we? So all I've done up to this point is I've updated to the new Divi version. Just make sure everything's working right on the chat here. Okay, cool. So I've updated to the new Divi version. Let's go ahead and have some fun with the Divi transform options. And I'll publish this page. Let's go to let's just do a blank page and just have a canvas to work on here. If you guys have any questions or want to see me try to do anything with these Divi transform options, go ahead and leave it in the chat, and I'll be sure to get to those once I've gotten my head around what you can do here. So we'll start from scratch just to kind of make this a tutorial. And I liked what they had there on the image, the blog post, where they had the rows of images and they're kind of doing some transform items there. So let's add an image in first, and we'll test different types of modules, but let's just first start with an image. Seems like the most basic one. And I've uploaded the thumbnail for this live stream before I went live. Okay, so I prefer to work on the front end here, so we're going to go straight into the visual editor and not work in the back side builder. Hey Tim, thanks for joining the live stream. Hopefully this feature is going to work pretty well. All right, and so here what I'm going to do is go into the actual module settings here, and they say that under the design tab, you now have a new section here for transform. So what we'll do is we'll make a few duplicates of this image, and we'll play with a couple different of these transform features on their own. So the transform here, this looks like a scale option where you can make it larger or smaller. Looks like you can control it either by the X axis, the Y axis, or by clicking and dragging on this guy here, but it'll all do the same thing. So, oh wow. And that's actually, is that a hover effect now? A little interesting. Let's go ahead and see this on the front end. Now, like I said, this is an unboxing. This is the first time I've used this feature. So I want to go ahead and, okay, so there's probably going to be some glitches as we go through here, guys. Like, this is just a brand new feature, newly updated. You know, this website, let me just show you. I don't think there should be any conflicts here, because as far as plugins on this website, we are running very bare bones. This is really just using nothing. Just the SSL is the only real plugin I added. So we're going to go through here and just see what it's like, and I'll give you my first impression review after the fact. So already I can see that when you hover over it, it takes off the transform effect. So we'll have to see how that looks when we dive into something more advanced, like doing, I want to be able to do some hover effects as well. So let's just see how this is going to look if I add another image next to it. Is it going to make our canvas? Okay, all right, a little interesting here already. Let's put the same image in. And let's look at more of our design features here. So we can go to design, transform. So we've looked at the transform scale. Now we'll do translate. Now this one I think is pretty cool, where you can actually move it up and around and kind of all the way around. So you can see this is cool, right? But I don't think it's really doing anything other than just adding margin and padding. So let's say for example, if we did the transform and we did, let's do 0 pixels on this side, but 200 pixels on this side. All right, I want to run a test here to hopefully prove something to myself. So let's make a new section. I want to do kind of like an A/B test of this feature. So we'll add an image into this section. Let's add the same image. And then let's duplicate this all here. Let's duplicate that. So now we have 2 of the same features. So let's go through and look at doing the transform, where we're going to do a translate and move this 200 pixel, or let's just say 55 pixels to the right. And this is 55 pixels, sure, 55, 55. And now I think you should get the same effect by going here and going to margin. And we should be adding margin, I would think, to the other side. So now we're going to be adding left margin of 55 pixels and top margin, I think it was, of 55 pixels. So does that give us the same exact look? It doesn't look like it. Okay, so it is doing something different here, because I think it's going outside the margin boundaries that the container has set. So the transform feature is doing something unique, but even if it's not, it's a little bit more intuitive to kind of just transform your module around than it is going in and adding custom margin to each axis individually. So that's pretty cool feature. Let's go through and look at it again. And let's add this image in another time. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this out a couple times so we can save some time doing that each time. Yeah. Okay, so Tim already saw that, yeah, the looks like the CSS kind of glitchy stuff going on here. That's only there when you're developing it, but when you go on the front end, it is cleaned up, which is good. But also, if you want to have like a drag and drop, I would hope that they would allow that to be what you see is what you get on the front end and on the back end, because obviously it's going to be kind of a frustration to go back and forth each time. Let's go back into the design here and look at some of our other options. Then we'll do some real, like some fun stuff. So rotate, you can move things around. This is super cool. On 3 axes, so you can see it kind of laying flat. Mirror effect. And should be around this axis now. Wow. I mean, this is incredibly intuitive. I mean, it even shows you the planes and how it's rotating around each plane. So that's a cool effect there. We're going to play with that later on. For this guy, let's take a look at skew. I don't know how often we'll be using something like this. Pretty cool, I reckon, but I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of an engineer and not enough of a designer, because I just don't know how I would really be using this feature all that often. I could see it being very useful for things like sales pages, where you have the image of your product, and you want to like have it stacked up where you see the videos and the books and the coaching or whatever, and then having those on there. But overall, I don't see this being the most useful feature, but it is cool to play with. call it my shiny object of the day. And then the last feature here is transform origin. Let's see if I can figure out what the heck this thing is actually doing. All right, well, what is this guy doing? Transform origin. Okay, so it's moving it here. What exactly does this do? I'm going to unlink these. And so, okay, so it's sliding things around, which I can see that. But as far as the origin, I'm not entirely sure what that's actually doing here for us. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so it's just moving it around, which, how is that different than translate? Like I said, guys, this is unboxing. I'm trying to figure out what this is really here for. So this is a percentage, whereas this is pixels. If anybody knows exactly what the difference is between the translate and the transform origin, let me know in the chat. We're going to go ahead and say there are two ways of accomplishing a similar thing. I'm sure there's a difference, but I'm not sure what that difference is. But let's go ahead and see if we can make something that looks kind of cool with this new feature. So I'm going to add in some images here. We'll add 4 images in to these little columns, and we'll try to do some hover effects that take place when they do some transform items. So I did a blog post and I added in some images here. So let's go ahead and start pulling these in so it looks like a real design. And let's just duplicate it, move it over. Let's change this image. Let's grab another one here. And these images were from a review post I did for Thrive Apprentice. I just updated that the other day. You know, I don't use Divi on my own website, but when I play with it for videos like this, I really do miss it. It's a really intuitive builder. I do like it. It doesn't have the most features, doesn't have the most modules, but what it does very well. Let me come here. All right, so we've got 4 images here. Now what we're gonna do is start to play with them. So I like the effect that they achieved. Let me see if we can replicate this effect here, because this is pretty cool. So what it looks like is they have a pretty significant shadow. Oh, I wonder if this is what the transform origin does. It looks like it's really bouncing off the shadow here. So we're gonna try to create a filter view on top of the image. We're gonna skew it to have that little perspective, and then we're gonna add a box shadow. And then when it hovers, we want it to kind of hopefully explode into our face. So let's see if we're not going to explode on ourselves right now. And if you guys have anything you'd like me to test here, go ahead and leave it in the chat and we'll be able to do that. So the first thing is, let's set it up by default the way that it looks there in the image. So we're going to do a filter. And I think that's going to be kind of like probably just saturation down to 0 by default. Okay, so that's the first thing, check. Next, we're going to add a shadow. And let's just, not like that. Okay, well, this isn't going to be perfect because it looks like it's not dealing with the transparency the way that I would like it to. So this would work better if you had like a full, golly. Well, let's just go with it. But I probably should have used something like this, where it's a full bordered image. This has a lot of transparency. And it looks like the image doesn't agree very nicely with that, but that's okay. Okay, now we're going to start getting into transform. So let me just go ahead and get into the transform options here. So we want this to kind of lay down. So we'll do a rotate, and we're probably going to want to rotate it like so, and then, not like that one. Let's go 0 here, and like that. Something like that. Looks kind of similar to what we had there, right? Let's just take a look at our model here. Okay, it looks similar. I think on the shadow, let me see if we can add some depth to that shadow. Or, you know what I think it might be? No, not transform origin. I was thinking maybe this is what this guy was for, is to kind of pull it off the canvas. Don't know what this guy is for yet, but we're still going to build something pretty cool with it. So with our box shadow, add some position to it. So now we're adding some position to our shadow, which looks, all right, that looks about what we want to achieve. And now let's go ahead and do the hover effect. When we go back into our transform options, we now want to hover over here and go to hover effect. So now when we toggle this, we want to remove the rotations. So we'll go 0, 0, 0. We probably want to remove that box shadow as well, right? So let's do, can we do box shadow? Looks like box shadow doesn't have hover controls. So that's okay. And then we also want to go to our filter. And when we filter on the saturation, we want to create a hover effect on the saturation and bring it back to life here. Let's just go back to 100%. So now the effect we should have here, let's view this in the front end or outside of the development environment. Okay, so we have us going crazy with these transform options, but this is pretty cool. I mean, it does have a nice effect. And now you have this. So we have mostly what I'm trying to achieve here. Maybe it's because the image is so small. It's a little glitchy like this. Let's do something real quick here. Like we achieved what we wanted. It's just not very smooth, is it? So this is our area. I'm not extremely happy with this, if I'm honest with you. This is this is an unboxing, so we'll see kind of if I can make it do what I want it to. Let's do a couple things here just to double check things. So what I want to do is let me copy module styles and paste module styles to this guy. Doesn't appear to have done everything. I wonder if they've done their copy and paste styles across here. Let me see if I can extend these styles throughout this section and see if it'll impact all of these guys. Okay, so we were able to do that, move that across. The hovering is a little bit funny, isn't it? Let's do this. Let's just try, first of all, to move this image. Let's just give that a blank one. Let's move this image to its own area so it has more room to breathe, if you will. And let's see if that cleans up the effect. Let's see if that will allow it to all come together here. And I got a request here. We could try adding 3 to 5 cards stacked as in layers or even skewed, which is popular. Yeah, I like that. I'll try that one next if I can get this to work correctly. Okay, what the heck? So it works. Not how I want it to. Let's go back through and let's kind of start from scratch. And Tim's requesting we do some stacking cards that kind of stack on top of each other. So that'll be, let's just start fresh here. And what we'll do, let's try to make it 3 cards side by side. And for simplicity, let's just add the same image here. We'll take this guy. And let me do the transform here where I think what we want to achieve is something like this effect here, where you've got a couple cards and you're going to be looking at landing pages or maybe lessons within a course, which now gives me like an awesome way to use this. So let's try to put these together side by side and see if we can use the scaling or the transform options to move them the way we want them to. So I would think what I want to do is first set the angle, the skew angle. Not the skew angle, the rotations. Maybe something like this. Maybe something like this. So now we're kind of looking at it down, down from a right angle there. And let's give it a little bit of a box shadow. Okay, now let's see, first of all, how this one looks on the front end before we start duplicating it and merging them together. I'm also going to be curious how we control the Z index, which is which one's on top and which one's on the bottom. Okay, so this looks pretty cool right there. Let's go through and duplicate this out and then line them up so that they're all in a row. So I'm going to find it, right click, I will copy module, paste module, and paste module again. And what I'm going to try to do is have them all kind of converge here in the middle. So I'll transform this guy to the middle and transform this guy to the middle as well. And let's see if that will do what we want. All right, so we want to transform, translate. And now I can move this guy like so. Oh, and you know what? I've got another cool idea. So I'll do this, and then when I hover over it, let's see if I can make it where it's going to kind of explode back. So we'll go into transform here, and we'll do transform, translate. So this is kind of interesting. Like it knows to keep these in order like this. But what if I wanted this guy to be on top? Like, oh, you know, it's probably respecting the, let's see if it's respecting the container that it's in. I know I'm thinking here, I'm not talking. Okay, so what it's doing, the best guess is, because this is a 3-column layout, it is respecting the order in which they're placed. Kind of like in the responsiveness where it's going to do, if it's 2 columns, it's going to take this one, the left one, and stack it on top of the right one when it's going to mobile responsiveness. When you're trying to overlap your modules, it's also respecting that that order from left to right as it's reading when it's deciding which ones to put on top of the others, which is pretty smart of it. That's how I would do it too. Okay, so let's add this guy back in. Oh boy, we're trying to get these guys to go back where I wanted them to go. Okay. Let's see if I can just go back until I have that laid out nicely. Divi doesn't do the best with undoing, does it? All right. Dagnabbit. Let's go back to our wireframe and see what the heck we got going on here. So we've got our 3 images. So we should be happy. Why are you all crazy? Okay. One more time here. Let's make a new section. We will get this. 3 of these guys. Image. And let's just pull this guy down. Does he have a transform? A big transform on him? So I can definitely see us getting a little bit busy, a little bit crazy trying to get everything just right. So you'll have to make sure you guard yourself and not try to do everything with these options. You know, you can also do this in PowerPoint. You can do this in Photoshop. There's a lot of ways you can do these effects. Don't go too crazy with it. All right, let me just take this back to no transform. Oh, that link is there, which you have to make sure you take care of. Okay, so let's put this guy in the middle. He's going to be our non-transformed version. And then we're going to copy it, paste it over here. And then we're going to copy it and paste it over here. So now if we go into this section, design, transform, rotate it, take the box and just pull the box underneath like this. Okay. And if I take this guy, transform it, and I'll translate, should be able to do it like that. All right, so let's just give some padding here and give this kind of a nice little subtle background gray, because I want to see how this looks as if we're using this on a sales page. And let's give it some downward padding here as well. All right, so let's check this out. Like, this is exciting. I think these features are really cool. If you're working on building, you know, for example, an amazing landing page or a sales page using cart flows, Divi has templates for cart flows now. Well, look at that. Like that's just a simple square PowerPoint slide. Look what it looks like here. So now let's take this a little bit further, and I'm just going to add one hover effect over this. So if I hover over it, I want it to pop back out and be in its own spot. So I wanted to kind of allow it to breathe, I guess you'd say. So let's go ahead and try that, shall we? Let's scroll back down to what we're working on here, and let's go to our settings, and our design and our transform. And now let's go to the hover state. So if I hover over this, I want it to move back. Let's first start with the basics. If I hover on it, I want it to be flat so I can read it. And let's see if I can copy module. And if I can paste the styles on this one here. Let's see how that looks here. I'm kind of taking it step by step because I want to avoid all that, that glitchy kind of CSS jittery motions here. So we're going to go for that effect here, go down to the bottom of our page. If I hover on this, oh, silly goose. Oh, it's like it's trying so hard. And if I hover on this, okay, it looks like the copy and paste styles isn't working consistently. Gosh, I see a lot of potential here. I think this was the initial release of it, so it's probably not perfect here. Hey, Benji's dad. I'm testing out streaming. You know, normally I do videos where I'm actually recording it and putting it out and maybe scheduling it. But I have a lot that's in the hopper. I have like a full hour tutorial I recorded yesterday that's coming out on Monday. So I wanted to make sure that this is a new feature. I wanted to kind of just go ahead and show it real quick. So let's see on the hover effect. Let's move this guy back. I'm forming my opinion right now. I think this is going to be cool, but I don't think it's quite there. So let's move him back. About so. And let's on him. Okay. And then on this guy, this is really, ah! Can I edit the styles from here? Ah. Ooh, I could see this getting a little bit frustrating. And then for transform, for the hover effect, we want to translate him back. And we want to move him. Okay, so it looks like the copy and paste styles isn't working yet across all elements. So we should be able to now, when we hover over each element, show it on its own, in its own little space there. Oh, wow. Okay, so what I can say here is definitively there's a lot of potential with this feature. I don't think it's fully baked yet, unless that's what they want, kind of like waffling in the wind. I don't think that's what they're going for there, but it's a really cool feature. I can see this as it gets kind of leveled out. Maybe they need to increase the allowance or the tolerance behind where the hover effects take effect, or if it's simply that the hover effects can't handle, because we're doing, I think, 4 different translations when they hover. We're adjusting it around 3 axes, and we're moving the entire position of it, you know, in the absolute sense to the left or to the right. So I guess it's a lot that we're asking it to do. I would want it to be able to do it, but for doing static effects, I think it's dynamite. So you could take this entire section and use this and maybe have, for example, text over to one side or the other and explain the feature and have this come in. Let me also do one last thing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the hover effects because I'm not really feeling that right now. But what I want to do is show animating these 3 things coming onto the canvas. So let's go in, if I can get to the module settings, go to design, transform. Let's take off the hover. Oh, golly. Can I just take off hover effects? I think I can just take off hover effects. Take this off. Design, transform, take off hover effects. I think that does that. Like I said, this isn't my daily driver. Divi is not my daily driver, but I think that'll work. And then let's say I want to animate. Can I do animation? I want this to fade, ease in. Oh, I like it where it fades in at a direction. So let's look for, okay, well, let's just do a slide. Okay, that'll work. Animation delay and intensity, that's cool. So now if we have this, let's go to exit the visual builder, save and exit. And let's scroll down to the bottom of the page and see how this kind of pops up. I'm looking for how this is going to appear on like a sales page. Like, that's cool. You would think this is one image that was designed in a Canva or in a PowerPoint or Photoshop. I use PowerPoint because I'm an engineer and I'm used to corporate America still, and that's all I really had to use for graphic design. So this is a really cool feature. If you're going to try to get too fancy with like growth effects and translation effects and rotation effects upon hover, you might want to wait for a release or two to come out, unless I'm doing something wrong. And I'm going to check the comments here to see if anybody is seeing something I'm not doing quite right here. Yeah, product release before its time, perhaps. Oh, thanks, Tim. So, Benji, I'm curious. Did you decide to go with Thrive Apprentice or with Teachable? I'm kind of a tale of two cities. So I use Thrive and LearnDash for different projects, and my wife uses Teachable, and she's used them for years. So, curious to see how this goes. Okay, so Tim, you've tried this as well and got equally frustrated. So sorry, I couldn't figure out what we were doing wrong. Um, I mean, okay, yeah, like this. Come on, come on. Oh, there it is. You just got to find the right spot. What's wrong with this? But they make it look so perfect in the blog post. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this. I'm saying this is probably a release or two away from being smooth. But oh gosh, I had such high hopes. Webflow. I have heard of Webflow and I haven't checked it out yet. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I sometimes get shiny object syndrome, and so I've tried to limit the number of toys I can play with and test out at a given time. But Webflow does. It's definitely very exciting. It's a whole new content management system, right? Like it's a different type of WordPress, which is pretty cool. Sorry to scare you, Benji. Actually, just to let you know, I that is true what I said when you're using the Sendal piece. However, I did figure out how cart flows and WooCommerce and memberships can all work with Apprentice as well. And that tutorial, I just finished it up yesterday. That's coming out on Monday, which I don't want to wait for the weekend because I just did it. I'm proud of it. But it walks through the entire process of doing the checkout process, building a flow, protecting your content, where everything with WooCommerce membership and WooCommerce, that's all locked down. Like they figured that stuff out a long time ago. And so for refunds and things like that. So I think your stack makes sense. It may be a little hard for people to go from a free course in Thrive Apprentice to then a paid course in Teachable, but yeah, that's awesome. Let me know how it goes. Keep me up to date. Send me a note at john@incomemesh.com. Yeah, shiny objects is a guy thing for sure. All right, guys. Well, this is fun. What I can say, kind of my final takeaways, is there's a lot of opportunity, but never leave, like, don't forget the purpose here. The purpose of all this web design is to drive to a specific goal. It's not just to make something that looks pretty. It's to either drive conversions or to, increase your engagement and allow your people to stay along with you for the ride. You focus on the content and focus on getting them to take action on what you want. If pretty images like this is going to do it, like this I could see is really would help you sell a product. But if it's just something to be pretty for the sake of being pretty, maybe you don't need it. So all those hover effects, let's wait for it to be fully baked until we go forward. Benji asked, do I do membership sites? Well, really, selling courses is a membership site. It's just a membership site that has like a special formatting. So yes, I do membership sites. I'm helping 3 different clients set up different membership sites. So right now I've got 2 clients who I'm helping set up Thrive, an entire Thrive suite. So we're doing lead generation, we're doing online courses with Thrive Apprentice, and we're doing membership. I'm split testing my clients. So I've got one client who's using the Sendal stack, and the other client I'm thinking I want to, I see a lot of potential there, and I might want him to go for the cart flows recipe. I think he's going to be up for the challenge. Not I shouldn't say it like that, but up for the complexity. It's a little bit more complex, but it offers a lot more long-term flexibility. And I'm doing other membership sites where I'm doing an e-commerce store for an automotive client. So got a lot of fun stuff going on. And yes, I totally agree. Simple is better most of the time. 100%. I keep telling myself that, and one day I will listen to myself. But with that said, guys, it's Friday morning. I'm going to go to the gym with the kids and the wifey and have a good day. So hope you guys have a good one as well. And thank you for tuning to the live stream, and I'll see you on the next one. And be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and do all that fun stuff, because I am putting on a pretty awesome tutorial. This actually, let me show you real quick. Let me go to my channel. So I am, where can I see? Oh, there it is. So cart flows in Thrive Apprentice, that is a full hour and a couple minutes where it goes step by step, and obviously you'll be able to see it whenever you want to, but it walks through if you are using Thrive Apprentice and you want to have more flexibility than what the Send Owl integration offers. I've been kind of toying with it, tinkering with it. I had it figured out a long time ago, but I wanted to make sure it was robust enough before I shared it, and I think this is the way to go. If you want to use cart flows to do upsells, downsells, bumps, and all that other fun stuff, this is the way to do it. Greg just put a note here. Try changing how things changing how things maybe look when you click on them. Purple bar on bottom editing feature. Oh yeah, let's try that. I see what you're saying. So what Greg is recommending is maybe the glitchiness when I'm doing the editing process. So he's saying instead of doing the hover effect, maybe we can. Oh, no, not that one. Silly goose. Change the effect here to be the click mode, which is I think what this one is. Yeah, let's just add them all here so I can toggle easier. So if I'm in click mode, this looks nicer. Like if I was on hover, oh, sorry, here's. Oh, and now here, what is this mode even called? Grid mode. So here it's like it forces you to be clean. I have to admit, Divi does a good job with their user interface. There's a lot of options here, and it's all very accessible, which is pretty impressive. So a lot of different things you can play with here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and call it because at this point I'm just kind of rambling. But Benji's dad says, awesome, releasing courses the first time. So looking for a good platform. Yeah, Benji, I'm right there with you, man. Like I was in corporate America for almost a decade and helping my wife build her business on the side at night. And so I'm launching my own courses as well for the first time under my brand. And I'll be honest with you, I'll tell you like a small little story. I was going down the path of Thrive Apprentice. I started to see like maybe the Send Owl integration wasn't right for me. And at the same time, Cartflows launched their product. And I was like, man, I can see this being a great long-term solution. So I wanted to use something that would work with Cartflows to sell. And so I moved from Thrive Apprentice to LearnDash. And then I figured out how to make it all work on Thrive Apprentice. And so it is hard to pick the right platform. Right now on incomesh.com, I've got free courses and a premium course that are all hosted on, or not hosted, they're being served through LearnDash. And I think it's a great solution. I sometimes think it's too much. Like it's too much kind of bloat. I can see when I'm loading my page, there's a lot of stuff that LearnDash is loading on top. So I'm not a huge fan of that. It's not the best for page speed, but yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I'm helping you guys find the perfect tool for your project, and hopefully you guys are a bit more decisive than I am, because I struggle with this as well. And all I can say is just keep trying and don't be afraid to test new things. But the advice I would give you is have a second website or a test website where you try something new and really think on it, sleep on it a couple of nights and see if that's the change you want to make before you go and implement it on your own website. So with that, guys, that's my little piece of advice, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.